Good evening, vinyl community. It's Rob back for another video. This is a response video to Scott, the Rock Scout, his 15-question thread. I'm not actually familiar with Scott's channel, but I watched a video earlier on that Richard McCook put up as a response to this, and it was some of the questions were quite intriguing. A few I immediately thought of answers for, which straight away obviously got me interested. There was a few more that are going to prove a little bit more difficult, a bit more challenging, but that's what these threads are all about, I guess, to kind of stretch you a bit. So interesting. So I thought I'd give it a go anyway. So it's Saturday night, guys. I'm here as usual in the pink attic, which has kind of become a semi-permanent home for me for the foreseeable. Of course, I'm not going anywhere soon for obvious reasons. Touch wood, I'm still well, COVID-free. And that's the one and only time I'm going to mention that this evening, because I'm kind of sick of it already. And that doesn't mean to say that I'm indifferent about it. It's just that, you know, you can only take so much of this on a daily basis. My mum's, touch wood as well, still keeping well. So and I hope you guys are as well, and staying safe and keeping happy and positive. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to get into this. So anyway, cheers, guys. Okay, so the first question is an album crying out for a reissue. Okay, now I immediately thought of In It For The Money, which is the second Supergrass album, which is far and away my favourite album of the 90s. You know, a record like that on vinyl is going to be as rarer than hen's teeth. I've only got a mini disc copy of it. Well, I've actually got a CD of it, of the subsequent release. The first release that came out had a load of bonus tracks on it. It was like a double CD, which my mate of my brother's had, and I just immediately fell in love with and made a mini disc copy of it, which I have, but I don't have the CD. I've been looking for it for years and never been able to find it. So I would, dearly love a vinyl reissue of that. The other two, though, that sprung to mind, one's an old one and one's a more recent release. This first one is John Martyn's 1971 album, Bless the Weather. I heard this from a friend of mine down in Totnes in Devon, long time ago, 20 odd years ago. Obviously, I'd heard John Martyn. I was familiar with Solid Air, but not this one, which was the one he did before. This, in my opinion, is by far the better album. Go Easy, Bless the Weather, Walk on the Water, Just Now, Head and Heart. Amazing album. Love his playing. Just beautiful. Obviously, you've got the wonderful playing of Danny Thompson there as well on upright bass. Just very jazzy, folky. It doesn't really get a lot better than this, really, to be honest. Superb stuff. And the other one was a bit of a more up-to-date release. I think this was about 2008. It's at least 10 years old anyway. This is St. Elsewhere, which was Gnarls Barkley. Now, this isn't the kind of thing that I normally listen to, but I love the single Crazy when this came out. Fabulous vibe. Quite dark, but interesting lyrics, and had a kind of depth to it that a lot of music in the charts at the time didn't have. Smiley Face is the other single I thought was brilliant as well. And it's just a great album. It's really interesting. Wasn't quite so keen on CeeLo Green. I know he had a solo career after this, And he was all right, you know, quite soulful and so on. But this is the one that really struck with me. So yeah, I would love to see a vinyl re-release of that. I would definitely be interested in that one. Okay, discography near complete. I think I've answered this question before in a previous video. I don't have a near completion or a complete discography of any artist at all, unless of course you're talking about artists that only did one album, which is a bit of a cheat really, isn't it? So but yeah, the one that I've got the most of is the early catalogue of Jethro Tull. So I'm just going to very quickly just go through these. I'm sure you've all seen them anyway. This was this debut, and then we have Stand Up from 1969. Arguably when they forged their sound that they became later renowned for. Benefit, classic, love this album, that's 1970. Obviously the big hitter that became their trademark album, 1971's Aqualung. Yeah, fabulous, you all know that one. This one arguably my favourite, I showed this the other night, Living in the Past. Wonderful compilation, and with all the non-album tracks that we didn't get in the UK, or that didn't appear on the albums anyway. Thick as a Brick, obviously, 1972. Their response to everyone, the press, saying that they were Aqualung was a concept album. So Ian Anderson very cleverly and very humorously went out of his way to sort of, you know, to answer that. Came up with this fabulous record, front to back, wonderful newspaper cover. This is an original, but I'm not going to get it out. I'm sure you've all seen it anyway. And then he followed it up with this one, which was possibly even more bizarre, like a kind of operetta kind of stage production with a. This is an original which has a Linwell Theatre program in it. Yeah, Passion Play, probably not one of their more popular ones, but interesting nonetheless. They went super poppy with this one, 1974's War Child. Then 1975, Minstrel in the Gallery. This is probably the one where they finally stopped being prog and doing long pieces. Then 1976, Too Young to Rock and Roll, Too Old to Die. Probably hearkening there a little bit to the burgeoning sort of punk movement there, with a much more kind of visceral kind of yeah, more sort of attitude cover. I guess Ian Anderson was aware of you know, the coming wave of music that was about to engulf certainly the UK anyway. So yeah, not a bad album. This one, Songs from the Wood, arguably a return to form. A lot of people say this is one of their favourites. Great album, and the first one of a trilogy of folky acoustic albums. This one is probably my favourite from their later period. This is Heavy Horses. I really, really enjoy this album. A lot of great songs on this. Yeah, and the Mouse Police Never Sleeps. The title track's great as well, Rover. Yeah, excellent album. Okay, and then the last one of their studio albums releases that I bought is Stormwatch. Yeah, this is all right. Not hugely mad on this, but this kind of completed the trilogy of their sort of folky albums, I guess, from that period. Okay, and then the other one that I've got is this compilation, which was 20 years of Jethro Tull. It's a compilation including later stuff, unreleased, album of classic stuff, and obviously singles. Yeah, this I think this originally came out as a box set of about 5 LPs. This is like an abridged version. which I picked up really cheap for about £5, because I think there was allegedly a scratch on it, but it actually plays perfectly, so I was very pleased to get that. Okay, great cover, bad album. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do the first one because I can't find that one. Okay, so this is a bad cover, great album, and this is Todd Rundgren's Something Anything. Yeah, bloody awful cover, quite honestly. I mean, it's not even a photograph of real plants, is it? It's just very dated, early 70s kind of sort of image. It would have been far better to have had that with Todd with his in his home studio, you know, looking triumphant there with his guitar. That would have been a far better cover if they'd have had that as the outer cover, that as the front, and that as the back, or even that one with him on the back there. But yeah, absolutely superb double album. Yeah, favourite of mine. Love that. Okay. Yeah, and then a bad cover, great album. I've completely okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, no, I've got that the wrong way around. Bear with me. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go for. No, I'm going to go for this. This is another one, bad cover, great album, because I've mislaid that. Oh, sorry. I've cocked up. You know, I do these in one take, and what you see is what you get. There you go. Yeah, this is arguably one of the greatest albums ever to come out of my hometown, Birmingham. But fucking awful cover. This is UB40's Signing Off. I mean, yeah, okay, it does what it says on the tin. You know, it's a UB40 unemployment benefit form, but yeah, it's just a bit stark and I don't know, nondescript. I've never liked this, you know. But the music within is sublime. It's fantastic. Tyler, yeah, Food for Thought, King, wonderful, wonderful songs, and absolutely timeless, and far and away, in my opinion, UB40's best album. They went downhill after this, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, great stuff. Okay. Short album, less than 30 minutes. Okay. Basically any 60s Byrds album is well under 30 minutes. This one is probably one of my favorites. This is the Notorious Byrd Brothers, and I'm not sure exactly what this clocks in as. I'm sure Byrds aficionados would be far more up on it than me, but it's definitely less than 30 minutes. So yeah, that's my choice for that. Okay, a song that introduced me to a genre that I love. Well, probably one of the first ones that I remember was probably Mott the Hoople's Roll Away the Stone, which obviously they are, you know, classed as a sort of English glam band. But I've shown that album quite recently, so I thought I'd show this one instead, which was one actually that I should have shown in my recent 1974 video. This is Sweet's debut album, Sweet Fanny Adams. Yeah, I love this album. This is a kind of great sort of glam rock staple from that period. And the song in particular off this was the sort of the hit Rebel Rouser, which my brother used to play in fast repeated circulation a lot, and I used to hear that a lot when I was a kid. And yeah, great song, and fabulous upbeat, inventive pop rock album. Really good. Gets overlooked quite a lot, but if you haven't heard this, it's well worth checking out. Okay, where we're up to now. Let's have a look. An album people wouldn't expect you to like. I don't know what people would expect me to like or not expect me to like. I don't know, but yeah, this is probably a bit left field of what I usually show. And yeah, people probably wouldn't expect me to like this. This is actually, I think, the first album I was ever bought as a kid. This isn't the original one. This is a subsequent copy that I picked up. But this is this is the New Seekers, and look what they've done to my Songmar, which is of course the classic Melanie Safka hit from 1970, 71, was it? Something like that. I think this album came out in 1972. But I really like this. I mean, obviously this was the newly put together version of the original Seekers from the 60s. And, you got Lynn Paul and so on. But yeah, I mean, this is just, it's well produced. They're nice songs. It's a bit twee, a bit sugary. But it was actually the first time that I heard Rainmaker by Nilsson. And I always loved this version because, well, obviously this was the first one I'd heard. I'd not heard of Harry Nilsson. It didn't mean anything to me at the time. And I was 4 or 5 years old when I first heard this. But yeah, fabulous. It's got a version of Blackberry Way on, obviously the Move song. Song Sung Blue, Neil Diamond, Nickel Song, Melanie again. Morning is Broken to finish the album. Obviously the Cat Stevens, Ella Fargen song, classic. And yeah, it's a very very pleasant, very nostalgic listen for me, because every time I put this on, it takes me back to when I was very, very young and could sneak the odd opportunity to get my record onto the family music centre, as it was there at the time. So yeah, that's the New Seekers, and look what they've done to my Songmar. Okay. Most anticipated album of 2020. I really, as I've said before, I buy very few new releases because there's so much from the old days gone by, and older stuff that I always have on my want list, which is partly down to you guys. Keep showing all this stuff and just makes my want list get bigger and bigger and bigger. But I've heard that that Supergrass might be reforming this year, and maybe coming out with a new release, or certainly a new compilation of their hits and so on. So I'd be interested in maybe purchasing that. So yeah, okay. What else have we got here? Band or artist I was late to the party with. Okay, that would be probably this group. This is the 13th Floor Elevators. Yeah, this is Rocky Erickson. I heard so much about this on the VC over the years, and I was aware that their first album was a sort of beginning of Garage and Psych, and it was in that 1001 albums you got to hear before you die. I've not seen a reissue of that, but I have streamed it, and it's pretty good. But I have to say that I preferred this one, which is the follow-up piece to Everywhere. Yeah, great stuff. So yeah, that's one of my more recent purchases that I was late to the party on. An album that I play on a regular basis. Yeah. Okay. That's probably this one. This is Peter Gabriel's debut album, sometimes called Car, for the obvious reason. Yeah, I absolutely love this record. It's referred to in the 1001 Albums Before You Die as a smorgasbord of an album in terms of the variety of songs that are on here. And apparently quite a lot of the songs on this album were songs that he had sort of, you know, the genesis, sorry, pardon the pun, of, you know, whilst he was with the band. And a lot of the best ideas of that obviously came out on this record. And it is just, every single track is just wonderful. It's a real journey, you know, that you go on with this record. I mean, the kind of creepy Moribund the Burgermeister that starts it with those kind of weird synthy sounds, and you know, and then goes into the wonderfully folky Salisbury Hill, which was the hit. Modern Love, great rock song. Excuse Me, kind of bit of a comic interlude there. Humdrum, beautiful ballad. And then side 2, Slow Burn. Oh, I love that song. You know, you've got obviously Dick Wagner, who played with Alice Cooper, doing that wonderful guitar solo and guitaring on that track. Just wonderful. Waiting for the Big One, great bluesy number, Down the Dolce Vita, and then ending on the classic poignant ballad, Here Comes the Flood. Yeah, so you know, when I'm not quite in the mood to play Genesis, I'll usually end up putting this on, and 40 minutes will just fly by. So yeah, love that record. An album £10 or less off. I mean, I could show any number of records, but I'd certainly show one that you can pick up anywhere that I would heartily recommend, that is always well under a tenner, and that's this one. This is the Bert Jansch sampler on Transatlantic. Yeah, this just is a compilation of songs from his first four or five albums. Yeah, wonderful. You've got Needle of Death, Angie, Go Your Way, My Love, Rabbit Run, The Wheel, Wishing Well, Blackwater Side, of course, which was then turned into Black Mountain Side on the first Zeppelin album by Jimmy Page. Yeah, fantastic, classic British folk, and you know, about as good as you get, really. And this was, I think I paid £8 for this, and from this I just went off on one with Bert Jansch, collecting his catalogue. Not always easy to find, particularly the originals, but well worth seeking out. Okay, where are we up to? 11. First and last in collection. That's really difficult. I bought so many CDs I couldn't possibly remember what was the first or the last one. And my vinyl record collection has changed considerably over the years, because I've kind of sold records and so on. So I'm going to go to the earliest one that I remember buying from my current collection, up to the one which I've most recently acquired. Okay, so the earliest one is this one, which is Queen Sheer Heart Attack. I bought this in probably about 1982. I think this was just after I bought Queen's Greatest Hits after it came out, and I was starting to investigate their back catalogue. Obviously, I knew this album very, very well from my brother, because he bought this when it came out at the time, and I used to hear this when I was much younger. But you know, I was only a kid and I could never afford to buy out LP records, let alone, you know, singles, let alone LP records. So, yeah. So this was that's the first one I remember buying, and then the most recent one, courtesy of Vinyl Dale, is this one, which is a bit of VCLT I showed the other night. This is the bangles and everything, which I hadn't heard before, and obviously I knew the single Eternal Flame, but I played this in its entirety the other night, and I really, really enjoyed it. A great pop album, really upbeat. Yeah, the bangles are fantastic. I defy anybody to not who's into, you know, good pop music and songwriting not to appreciate this. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Okay, album that changed my opinion of a band or artist. Okay, I remember in the early 80s, my brother talking about an album called an artist called Thomas Dolby, and he bought a single called Europa and the Pirate Twins, which I thought was kind of okay. It didn't particularly grab me, and then I heard his first single, which was Airwaves, off this album Golden Age of Wireless, and I just loved that. I thought, wow, this is a great song. It's moody and it's got real depth, and the sort of key changes in it and so on, and yeah, wonderful, wonderful song. Yeah, a friend of mine was really also into Thomas Dolby, and he played me the Flat Earth, which of course has got I Scare Myself on it, and then I think from that I bought Aliens at My Buick, his third album, and then sort of, you know, tailed off a bit after that for me, yeah, no, nonetheless a great 80s artist and very original, and yeah, always like Thomas Dolby. Okay, one album I'd save in a fire. That's a great question. Very, very difficult to answer. I don't know. It would have to be this one. Again, Roy Harper, Flashes from the Archives of Oblivion. You probably knew I was going to show this. I'm always on about this album. Yeah, absolutely superb. Couldn't do without this. This just takes me back so many fond memories of my early days of with my mates, smoking grass, listening to records, getting into vinyl, and discovering artists, and this for me encapsulates all that, and also obviously the fact that I've probably seen Roy Harper more than any other artist as well. But then I would have to grab this at the same time, which is very near to this in the collection, and this is Bert Jansch's 1969 album, Birthday Blues. Fabulous, fabulous. This is my favourite Bert Jansch album from beginning to end. I'm not going to go through individual tracks. Wonderful, wonderful record. Beautiful, evocative playing, superb playing, beautiful singing, lyrics. Very, very heartwarming cover there with him with his pet dog, and just encapsulate. You know, it just sums up the warmth of the music within this, and beautiful, beautiful record. Yeah. Okay. Debut album from 1986. I went through my entire CD and record collection, and I couldn't find a debut from 1986. So I'm going to cheat, and I've gone from the previous year, which is 1985, and this is Simply Red's debut. By far and away their best album, in my opinion. This is Picture Book. Absolutely love this. Money's Too Tight to Mention, Come to My Aid. The beautiful Holding Back the Years. Yeah, great album. Wonderful stuff. Okay, so that's me done. I've just hit the 30 mark. I was determined to get under 30 minutes, guys. Yeah, seems impossible for me because I'm so badly prepared with these videos, and I always end up waffling on and blitherage overkill. So there you go. Anyway, so anyway, enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Stay safe. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.